from what I'm hearing on the Israeli side is that this still might not be the one that they're willing to accept. And we're standing here in the Kerem Shalom. We're about a mile away from the border. And the amount of activity that I'm seeing in eastern Rafah, the explosions in the last 15 minutes have been incredible.
On this deal, Zach, I mean, do we know how close it is or not to becoming the basis of some sort of agreement?
We just don't know what exactly Hamas, when they say they're accepting the terms, what version of this ceasefire proposal it is. As of yesterday, the Israeli side, a source told me that they hadn't even received the names yet of which hostages would be released, and that's going to be the major sticking point. But the amount of military pressure that's being applied as we speak is so intense. So it is remarkable to see.
So as we were reporting the breaking news, Hamas says it's accepted the terms of a ceasefire deal in Gaza. The details haven't been made public. It's not clear whether Israel will give its backing. Zach Anders, though, is a journalist at Kerem Shalom Crossing. Zach, hello.
Hello, John.
Hi. What more can you tell us about Hamas accepting this deal and what it really means?
So they've communicated to their sources, and Al Jazeera is reporting that the Egyptian and the Qatari mediators have been told that they're accepting the ceasefire proposal. That's a major headline, but I want to caution everyone that this might not be the version that Israel proposed. There's potential here that Israel, from what I'm hearing on the Israeli side, is that this still might not be the one that they're willing to accept. And we're standing here in the Kerem Shalom. We're about a mile away from the border. And the amount of activity that I'm seeing in eastern Rafah, the explosions in the last 15 minutes have been incredible. The amount of activity is the police here, the Israeli police are telling explosions are taking all over the place.
Right. And I think we've got a pretty steady line to you there. Just on this deal, Zach, I mean, do we know how close it is or not to becoming the basis of some sort of agreement?
We just don't know what exactly Hamas, when they say they're accepting the terms, what version of this ceasefire proposal it is. As of yesterday, the Israeli side, a source told me that they hadn't even received the names yet of which hostages would be released, and that's going to be the major sticking point. But the amount of military pressure that's being applied as we speak is so intense. So it is remarkable to see as the evacuations of Rafah are.
Again, a slightly
it's
shaky
remarkable.
Line. Yeah.
I'm sorry, we're
please,
losing
we completely understand.
Terrible communication.
No, but it's perfectly understandable given where you are. But I think we have a line to you there. So look, we don't know how this is going to play out. Details still to emerge of the nature of this deal accepted by Hamas, but not yet, at least as far as we know, by Israel. And you have said, Zach, you've seen explosions, big explosions in Rafah, which looks like the beginning of that Israeli IDF incursion. What are your thoughts on that? What is going on?
So it's right now being reported on the Israeli side that they only told about 100,000 people in Rafah, in the easternmost point of that area, to move. So it's not a full evacuation of Rafah yet. As far as we know, the Rafah crossing, the only crossing through Gaza and Egypt, is closed. So there are no trucks, there's no aid moving through. And the phone call that we received, or the news of the phone call between the Prime Minister and President Biden this afternoon, the Israeli side is reporting that the Prime Minister accepted the president's movement, saying, the Israeli police officers here, I know we are moving in a moment. I'm sorry. The president's telling him that he has to open the Kerem Shalom crossing for aid and allow that movement of trucks to start flowing if the Rafah crossing is going to be closed. As far as we know, neither crossing are open right now because of the amount of military activity and the airstrikes that are taking place in the eastern area of Rafah.
Right, we can hear. You seem to have an official there, keen to move you on. If you have to break off, Zach, of course we understand that. If you're able to stay with us for a moment longer, then of course you're very welcome to do that. Is it your impression then that the Israeli leadership, Benjamin Netanyahu and the IDF, are heeding those warnings from America about the need to protect civilians, at least to some extent?
That's a hard question to answer, especially in moments like this when we're seeing very difficult scenes of the evacuations. I mean, these people are getting very little time, very little notice, and the airstrikes came in. The evacuation order, the pamphlet drop happened at about 9 this morning. and then the airstrikes followed right away. So you can only imagine the amount of pressure that's being applied politically to the prime minister to not have scenes like this. All day we've been seeing terrible amount of airstrikes in the areas where they've been telling people to evacuate.
Right. Again, if you need to break off, Zach, at any moment, of course you will do
John,
that.
this is kind of the bane of my existence here is that this is a civilian area, and citizens, Israelis, are taking pictures. Journalists have every right to stand here and take pictures as well. I've told the police officers if they want to arrest me, they can, and so far no movement there.
Okay, really appreciate your efforts and keeping us informed on all of this. So we wait to see the shape of the invasion, which we now anticipate is at least in an early stage, and of course, so much will depend on that. On the bigger picture, it looks like a defining moment for Israel and this conflict.
It really could be, and tonight is going to be the night where we'll really understand whether this politically was on, which side this was on, because if this proposal comes across and it gets leaked by the Egyptians, by the Qataris, that it was very close to what Israel was asking for, and at the end of the day, Israel does not accept this. I mean, we're about to find out where exactly the breakdown lies. But again, we need to wait to see what exactly Hamas says they're agreeing to, because as of yesterday, still Israel was asking for the names of the hostages that are going to be released in the first 40 days, and they didn't get it.
And we're about to see, I guess, how far the relationship between Israel and America can be stretched as the incursion begins.
Yeah, exactly. Plus, we've seen very difficult scenes today. I haven't gone too in depth about what we've been covering of the evacuation, but it's been very difficult. And that's just 100,000 people. What is this going to look like if it's another 900,000 people that are told, sometime tomorrow that they have to move as well? It's going to be very difficult.
Right, Zach Anders, really appreciate your joining us from there, the Kerem Shalom border crossing. Thank you.